Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world away from the numbers.
Heidi hi campers, and welcome to another episode of the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting from the University of beautiful British Columbia on the unceded Musqueam territory. We're live on CITR Radio 101.9 FM, CITR.ca online. If you're listening to this show on the podcast, well, that's an advantage and a plus on last week, but if you're listening to this show on the podcast, this is episode 222. Now, first off the bat, apologies to people that weren't listening to the show live last week. We weren't able to bring it out a podcast due to some technical difficulties station-wide, really, but that has been fixed now. So if you're listening to this on the podcast this week, that is why. What we are going to do for a couple of little segments of this show is just replay some of the segments that we had last week, because not many folk will have heard that, because the bulk of our listeners obviously does come from podcast listens. But to everyone that is listening live tonight at 11 o'clock, welcome. We have a packed show in store for you tonight. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And welcome. What a weekend it has been.
What a week.
Weekend. As far as I'm concerned, there was only one game this week.
Oh, okay.
Nothing happened midweek.
Gotcha. Nothing happened at all.
Did you say anything happened this week, Zach?
Yeah, horror show.
We will touch on that a little bit in part two. Didn't want to kick off the bat with some really bad news, but what happened in KC? I mean, we'll start with that. The plus point is the Whitecaps got 3 points, clinched a promotion berth, but it was a stunning display. Almost lost for words and to describe it. If you were to sum it up for anyone that hadn't seen the game, Zach, what would you go with?
The way you're talking, it reminds me of that Seinfeld episode where their friend showing off their new child to them, and they're like, I think I can't remember if it was a he or she, but I think it was a she. She's stunning. She's stunning, and it's kind of like that's you don't want to look back at that, really.
No.
But
we have to.
Even though every child in life is special, but still,
yes.
Every game is unique. But
there's some very special people in Kansas City this weekend. Some very unhappy Sporting KC fans not living up to their Sporting moniker at all. Although I guess they were kind of feeling that the Whitecaps went very Sporting in that second half, killing the game off, which I'm not quite sure what they expected the Whitecaps to do. Didn't like a lot of the gamesmanship, the perceived time wasting, the injuries.
Well, they've been accused of that too, as Anna tweeted out some conversations in the past.
Yeah, I mean, every team is going to do that.
And
you're on the road.
I don't understand the referee has the option to put more minutes on the clock.
I expected a full 8+ minutes, I have to say. I was kind of surprised that there was only 5.
Wait, are you beginning your concerns about the officiating with the amount of time that was added?
Nothing wrong with the officiating. We got a win. Okay, we'll come to the officiating.
There was nothing wrong with the officiating Wednesday night. We told the ref as he was leaving what a wonderful job he had done that night.
Oh, yeah. He lost the plot completely. Anyway, let's just focus on KC before we lose the plot completely. 8 changes to the starting lineup from that horror show on Wednesday night, and I was pleased with most of them. But there were some surprises in there. De Jong as a DM. I didn't see that coming.
Well, that happened in Orlando too.
Yeah, I didn't know that Jacobson was back here having a baby, and that Teixeira was back in Uruguay having a baby. Although technically they're wives, but they'll be back next week, so they were missing this game. Ali Gazal, De Jong, DM partnership. Gazal, beast of a guy. We'll talk about some individual performances later.
I hate to keep coming back to it, but it's almost like he should have played Wednesday.
Robbo did say after Wednesday, though, that he's tired. He's still not up to full match fitness, so he couldn't have gone Wednesday and Saturday.
Well, he shouldn't have been playing the previous Saturday.
Well, there's that as well. But
he did look good.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting lineup. A lot of it I was expecting. Some of it I wasn't. We got the tip-off during the week, of course, that Stefan Marinovic was going to start in goal for David Ousted. But apart from that, not a bad lineup. We have seen the perceived B team go and get wins in Dallas and Orlando before. So I didn't expect much going into this game. I did kind of expect a defeat. And after the first half, I'm not quite sure how the Whitecaps were not 4 or 5 goals down.
Yeah, I saw you say that on Twitter, yeah.
Crazy misses.
Yeah, poor finishing, poor performance overall from Kansas City in the first half in terms of being clinical in front of goal.
Oh, for sure. Obviously the penalty kick too. That was a good. I thought it was a right call.
Yeah, it was. I mean, right away I thought it was in the box, and then it was.
But
don't know what Kendall was doing there. Kind of slipped, but
I think even
there was a breakdown before that.
Yeah. I think even if he hadn't hit the post, I think Marinovic was there to at least get his fingers to it.
Yeah, he had that well covered.
I don't know how much it would have bent over his fingers and gone in the net if it was, but he definitely got his hand to it, and he was covering the post.
But Rubio, he's going to have nightmares about that game. That he could easily have had a first half hat trick, if not more. Then there's a couple of other chances that the Caps kind of let off the hook a little bit. I got quite obsessed by possession last night.
I saw that on your tweets.
But our new T-shirt range that we're going to be working on, apart from the Freddie F and Montero ones, we're going to be going with a new possession is for losers T-shirt. Because that seems to be what it is. You possess the ball, at least against the Whitecaps, you're going to lose.
Yeah, and you tweeted out that the stat from MLS where it was none of the 5-minute intervals were in their favor.
None at all.
And not even close.
Some of them were 11 and 12%. And it was a siege in that first half.
Yeah.
There's no other real description for it. Although Breck Shea did have a couple of good chances towards the end of the half that could have given them a shock lead.
Yeah, but they got the shock lead later on.
Yeah. I mean, KC started the second half the way that they finished the first. And then some quick anticipation. Beautiful ball forward by Jordan Harvey. First time finish by Eric effing Hurtado. That could be our other new T-shirt that we go for. What a finish.
Well, I know you said Jordan Harvey made a good ball in. Hurtado had to work at getting to that ball. And so I think...
He showed great hustle.
Yeah. It was. I agree with you, Steve. It was hopeful.
Yeah, it was a hopeful one. I don't think it was a great ball.
No, it almost felt like Jordan had watched that assist that De Jong had made to, I want to say, Jordy a couple games ago.
Yeah,
and he's like, I'm just gonna have a go. I'm gonna see
anything Marcel can do. I can do that.
Yeah, I think he knows maybe that he's not as first choice as he used to be, and it's like, let's just have a go.
I didn't think Harvey would even start this game.
Yeah,
no. Outstanding finish by Eric Hurtado. I know he takes a lot of grief from people.
From myself, and I will doff my invisible hat. And he put in a hell of a shift.
Yeah.
That was a really good game from him last night.
For me, he's actually turned me around a little bit, maybe midway through the season. I think he has a spot here in even in future seasons.
He does.
As maybe... a 2B backup striker, if they bring another backup to whoever starts, and they can use Hurtado in some spots and use the other guy in some spots. I wouldn't call him a number 3. I'd call him a 2B, base 2A and 2B as a backup.
It'll be interesting with this year's expansion draft to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Because he
will be exposed.
He has been, at least this season, if you just take this season alone, he has been invaluable to how the team has progressed.
And it can't be easy for him being behind a striker like Freddie Montero, and Robbo alluded to that after the game, that Hurtado doesn't come to his room and say, why aren't I playing?
He knows his role.
Yeah, he comes to the room and says, what do I need to do to get playing? And I like that attitude.
Yeah.
And he is a super nice guy. We have ridden him a lot. I have ridden him a lot. Zach, not so much. But yeah, he's kind of turned me around a little bit as well. I really liked what he brought to the team last night. And the last couple of weeks, I do like what he has brought to the team.
Yeah, going back all the way to San Jose away earlier this year, like he's contributed. He's taken a number of his chances, not just a couple, in terms of the time he's been given in the team. Speculative ball, if we can say that, from Jordan Harvey, that he finished his first time over the shoulder with the outside of his right foot into the far side netting. Like just classy quality finish.
That's a FIFA 18 finish, basically.
It's going to be up there in the top 5 Whitecaps goals of the year, maybe even top 3. That's something we'll break down at the end of the season, obviously. 2 minutes or 3 minutes after that, though, KC nearly got back on level terms, rattling the crossbar.
That's what it's there for.
Yeah. I know, because KC tweeted out, how did that not go in?
Yeah, I saw it.
And
It seemed to also deflect off the wall, Brek-Shea's head a little bit. Jumped up.
That's what his head is there for.
Yeah, that's what that flock of seagulls haircut is there for.
And also, I think Marinovic still had that covered as well. And Marinovic then made that big save off a corner. It got over to the other side of the box, and he came up and just volleyed the ball or parried the ball over the net.
He had a great first half save.
Oh, that
was
a massive save.
Point blank straight at him.
The cross from Zuzi.
Yeah,
and the way he moved across. It was so it was a powerful move across the net like that.
2 things about that. One, it was more quality positioning from him, right? Because the finish, even though it was nice diving header technique, the finish was very central. But it was because he was in good positioning. When I saw it, I was just like, if that was Jordi Reyna, he would have scored. With one of his.
Would he have wasted too much time on the ball with an open net and then gone to ground? Which at first, when I saw it, I didn't think there was any contact at all.
I have a hypothesis about this as well.
Yeah, I thought there's no way you're going to round somebody and then go down.
But he definitely got contact.
Where's the contact? on the upper body or the clip?
On the clip.
Apparently, it was on the calf.
The calf from Zuzi.
Yes.
Okay.
Initially, I thought it was Mila that caught him. Yeah.
I wouldn't even say it was the calf. It was more the side of his leg.
Side of his calf?
The side of his calf, yeah. And
the outside thigh?
The first replay they showed, you could see the contact. The second replay, because it was a different angle, you couldn't see the contact.
Right.
I missed the first one, and I only saw the second, and I'm like,
And then everybody saw the second one, and that's where everybody was.
I think that's
calling
the only one that Kansas City people have been showing.
Yeah. But he should have put it away. I mean, he had enough time to put that in the back of the net.
Yeah. My favorite thing is Kendall Waston coming over to him. He's on the ground. He's like, what did you do? It's like you needed to score that.
I know. But that could have been so costly.
Yeah. But you know why he didn't score?
Because it wasn't a game winner.
Exactly. He's new. All my goals are match winners. I don't need to score this
Maybe
one.
That's his clause. It's like you get a special bonus for your match-winning goals, none for just a
Exactly.
goal.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
Maybe.
This is not going to be the match winner. I don't need to score.
So, I mean, Whitecaps, we're in stoppage time, 91st minute, goal up, man up. Yeah, it's going to be easy. And then Bola gets sent off for... Now,
waving his hands near Phil Hubbard's face.
I could maybe get accused of being biased when I say this, but that was not a sending off.
It was a make-up call. And here's the... Okay, everyone hates Toledo. Okay, like...
I've not minded him this year. I thought he was one of the better referees.
This game, Kansas City people did not like him. Whitecap supporters did not like him. My big concern about that, especially the second one, is what the heck is VAR for? If not to look at that.
Yes.
They're supposed to be looking at red cards, goals, that was one of the things they're supposed to look at. And there's no, you can't look at that and say, that's for sure a red card. That should be a sending off.
I think that what they're going to say is that was an opinion-based one, and because it's not a clear and error, that's why they'll say, because he'll say he saw the arms hit the face of the other player. Whether
so that's what their VAR is there is to say. Okay, maybe he thinks that the guy hit him in the face hard. Let's have him let's let him look at it again, because that was not a. So VAR is showing its flaws. Not just on this continent, but in Europe, they've been showing their flaws.
Well, you
for not being
saw that
used when they're
Disco
supposed
had
to be
to
used.
overturn one of the VAR decisions as well, which is the worst thing that could possibly happen.
This is supposed to be something that's hard to screw up, and they're screwing it up.
Yeah, but thankfully it didn't cost the Whitecaps. There wasn't enough time for them to do anything. So a 1-0 win. If I was Peter Vermes, I just don't know what I would say to my players after that. But we will hear what he had to say to the media now, because we're going to hear some audio from both coaches. First of all, we are going to hear from Sporting KC's Peter Vermes, and then a little bit from Robo.
Probably stating a little bit of the obvious here, but I mean, when you lose a game 1-0, I imagine those early chances really stand out.
I think the game was probably, I can say it now, right? The game was lost in that first 30 minutes. The fact that we had, some incredible looks, on top of the penalty. The penalty is one thing, but on top of that, we had some great opportunities. We have to stick them away, because it not only gets you the goal, but it also changes the game and how they got to play and everything. And we didn't do that. But I got to give a lot of credit to their goalkeeper. He played. He was big time. He kept him in the game. He was a different level in the game tonight. So credit to him. The goal. What can I tell you? I think we were snoozing a little bit, sleeping maybe on the play. We talked about that's the one thing that they're going to do the whole game was play the ball over the top. That's what they wanted to do, and they found the way. They scored, and so it's unfortunate, but at the end we had the chances. We didn't put them away, and so they deserved the points. They got the goal, and they deserve the 3 points.
Kind of touch on this a little bit, but when your team feels like they're playing so well, they've got all the possession, all the shots, is that what can kind of lull you into a little bit of, transfer for not paying attention to what could go the other way?
It could, but that's not the norm by us. It could, but that's not the norm by us. And I don't look. I think all in all, we played very well tonight, but we didn't get the result, and that's what we're in here, this business for, right? To get the results. So the unfortunate thing is that we did a lot of things really well, but the one thing that we needed to do was score. We didn't. And the other was take care of the other side, which was what we knew they were going to do, and we didn't do that either. So, when you add those up, it actually winds up being a negative, unfortunately.
Game like this kind of has a bit of a playoff feel to it. This is kind of what you're going to face in the playoff. A good team, they're going to bunker in, especially if they come here. How does, even though the result doesn't go your way tonight, does that kind of help you guys kind of really understand and gear up that this is kind of what we're going to be facing for the playoffs? There's
no doubt you can use it as an example, for sure. No doubt. You have to be able to understand that. I don't know at times. I think at times the game had high intensity, but other times it didn't because they dropped off so much. What it did have, though, was a tactical approach, a tactical understanding that you have to have when you go into the playoffs, because it's all about getting goals and not giving goals up, and we didn't do that tonight.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be a battle. We know what the Kansas are like. They're a great team. Peter has them super organised in their play, but we've got to match that. And we knew we'd come under the cosh a little bit, and we did in the first 20 minutes. It was one-way traffic. We made some adjustments. Credit to the players in there because they took it on board, and the game plan worked. Sometimes football isn't pretty, unfortunately. We all want to watch Barcelona play or Paris Saint-Germain this season. Sometimes it's not about that. It's just about good, honest, hard work. And my guys in there, every one of them, rolled their sleeves up and fought today. Yes, we can play a little bit better, but what they did today was phenomenal. Absolute phenomenal effort.
Now you guys, just a big win, especially away on a really crowded West. Where does this leave you now for the rest of the season?
Just with 3 points. It's one game. We've got an important game next week at New York Red Bulls. We know that. It's going to be another difficult place. I asked them to rebound after Wednesday because I thought we were a little bit soft on Wednesday against Seattle, who are another good team. And the response that they gave today, as I said, it was phenomenal against a really good team. So proud of them today. Really proud to be the manager of this football club. And obviously I do believe that we've sneaked in the playoffs.
2 places now that you're going to before now. What do you draw from this when you're going into a stretch that has 2 away matches?
Well, you try and get into playoff mindset, and we tried to do that on Wednesday, but it didn't quite work out. And what we learned on Wednesday, I made him aware of it today, because in playoff games it's very tight, and decisions sometimes go against you. It's important you keep your emotional control, but it's important you stay in the game as well. And when we were under the cosh, as I said, in the first 20 minutes, we maintained focus. Our mentality was spot on. We were throwing our bodies on the line, and goalkeeper come up with some massive saves. We know that, which you need to, but we stayed in the game and we took the chance when it came.
He's the gaffer. You can try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all. He's the gaffer.
The gaffer's there. And that music has proved surprisingly popular with people. It's been very catchy. It's been stuck in folks' heads.
I like it.
If anyone wants to know where it comes from, it's from a 1979 ITV sitcom starring Bill Maynard called The Gaffer. So we're going to get a whole new generation of fans for Bill Maynard. Anyway, both the gaffers there talking about the KC game. And Peter Vermes took it quite well. I would have just been, what the hell happened out there? But there was some really good individual performances by the Whitecaps. Eric Hurtado, we talked about, he put in a hell of a shift. Stefan Marinovic, we've touched on him, but it was very interesting. After the game, David Ousted retweeted a tweet from his saying what his new agents were. He's no longer with Base Agency, Robbo's brother's agency. So he's with a different agents now.
On-field management.
Yeah. Does that add fuel to the fire that he's leaving? Who could possibly say?
The initial tweet came before the game when the lineups were announced.
Yes.
And then he retweeted after the game. Now, also, just to let you know, I looked into on-field management. They also represent Simon Thomas, former Whitecap goalkeeper. So there's a number of players. They're a lot of based in Mexico too. A lot of Mexican players.
Maybe he's going to go to Mexico.
I think I might know who hooked Simon up with them. I think I'll check on that before I say anything.
Camilo? Maybe not Camilo.
No, but we've said it before. It's hard to see David coming back on what his option will be.
Yeah, and when you've got a guy like Stefan Marinovic come in and put in a performance like that, if he wasn't away with New Zealand, that would be an interesting one for next week. Does he keep his place?
And then you watch how the marketing people are pumping his tires.
Yeah.
Stefan.
He's baking cakes. He's baking cakes.
Yes. He's also on the show later on as well in part 3.
Oh, so you're pumping a tire too?
I told you he's one of my favourite people to speak to just now because he swears during interviews. I just love that. Yeah. I cut it out, but I love that. But Marinovic had a really good game.
Definitely. But the great saves kept the team in the game. Time wasted when he needed to.
Yeah, so a couple of lovely times he went down there. And Hurtado. Anyone else stand out for you?
You mentioned Ali Ghazal earlier.
Yeah,
I thought he was good.
Who was your man of the match for the Whitecaps? For me, it was Diego Rubio.
I think it was Marinovic for me. I'll give it to him.
I want to give it to Eric Hurtado.
I'm going to go with Marinovic.
He wins.
He does. And the Whitecaps won. And that victory clinched the playoff spot for the Whitecaps. Seattle losing today against Philly
makes it easier for them to get top
shock
two.
Now.
Yeah.
The Whitecaps just need 3 points from the last 3 games to be guaranteed a top 2 finish.
Or if Portland and Seattle draw in one of the remaining games, that they won't have. They'll be able to match points, but they won't be able to match wins. So
unless MLS changes the tiebreaker
by the end of
you never know.
I just want MLS to change the date of the playoffs so it's not on Halloween, so I don't have to explain to my wife for her 15th wedding anniversary that I'm going to watch the Whitecaps.
Just say I'm pulling in Nick Hornby.
Well, I'm hoping it could be Seattle or Portland because that's going to be a nice little anniversary trip for us.
Because that's going to be the first leg away.
Yeah. So that'd be a nice
excellent.
trip.
I thought I was going to have to miss Halloween.
But you're not going to go to Portland or Seattle?
No.
Yeah.
I was having a discussion this evening with my wife about the potential.
It's wonderful this time of year. But at least we're in the playoffs, so there's that. There's been a lot of chat this week just about the Whitecaps tactics, so we're going to look at that in part 2, and we're going to be back with that after this.
Hey, it's Stefan Marinovic, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. So whether you're listening to this in your dorm here at the university, I still think people are doing that.
If you're listening to this in your dorm, please make sure you tweet at AFTN Canada.
Yeah, send us a picture of you watching.
No pictures, no pictures. Just send us a tweet if you're listening at UBC in a dorm, just so we know you're listening.
If you want a poster of myself, we'll get that sent along for you. Get that on the wall beside Kurt Cobain.
You know what year it is, right?
It's been a while since I've been at university.
Well, Kurt Cobain, obviously from Seattle.
Yes.
Vancouver was in Seattle midweek. Or were they? Did they actually show up?
Lovely link, but...
That's sad.
Yeah, let's quickly talk about the Seattle game.
Quickly?
Yes, because I do not want a 5-hour show because I'm working tomorrow at 9.
No, okay. We talked about this, I think, last week a little bit, but...
No one heard last week's show, so
right.
it doesn't matter.
So no one knows no one knows that we did talk about it, but seriously, I think most people are happy. 6 points, 3 games in the week. Most people are top of the table, some distance, some separation with Kansas City. I think most people are very happy. I think they got it wrong. I think they got it wrong.
Does the 3-0 defeat make you think that?
In part, yes.
Okay.
In part, yes, of course. But no, the weakest lineup this week should have been played against Colorado. And I know what you're going to say, Michael. You're going to say Colorado played better than we expected. They put up a fight, people fighting for their jobs, or all the shop window for next year, all that stuff.
No, I was going to agree with you.
Okay. Well,
no,
that's
I wasn't. That was a game they definitely had to take 3 points.
They had to take 3 points, but a lineup that was different than what played could have taken 3 points. A lineup more similar to what...
Could it?
A lineup like similar...
Probably.
A lineup similar to last night could have taken 3 points from that game and should have taken 3 points from that game. And the best team should have been played in Seattle. Ali G needed to play in Seattle, as an example. No offense to Russell. He did not have a performance I think he'll look back on fondly, like most of the squad. Shane Williams did not have a good performance. Christian Bolaños, I don't think, had a performance that he'll be, putting in his memoirs. The lineup needed to be different. The lineup was not good enough in Seattle for that match. That should never happen. Take away Cascadia Cup, take away league standing, take away all of that. A lineup like that should never be put out in Seattle, ever.
The one thing about that game itself, definitely for me, confirmed when people question who's the best starting 11. I think we have a confirmation of who the better right back is in this lineup, and it's Jake.
I think most people would say that already happened.
Even with his the minor mistakes, he's just at this point. And obviously Shane Williams, I think it's more between the heads right now, because earlier in the season he was putting in a really great effort, and I think it's between his head right now, and he hasn't gone over it.
But my grievance would still be, you don't determine that in Seattle. You don't determine that Seattle away.
I think the weaker lineup should have been last night, which was kind of the weaker lineup out of the three, and I think that should have been it. And I do agree that Gazal should have been playing in Seattle.
They pissed away the Cascadia Cup. In a week when you look at it, they could have done far better in that game.
What I would say though about that Seattle lineup, I agree. It baffled me when I saw it. I'm sitting in the stadium, it came out, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
You're bringing Williams and Bolaños that haven't played for 6 weeks.
Bola coming off of injury.
Lineup. Yeah,
coming off of injury. You don't start a guy like that in a game like that.
What I will say is, I think they were played for their experience, because you don't want to pitch a young guy like Nurbinski into that. Ali Ghazal as well. He hasn't played a big derby game in front of those crowds. He did tell me after the game in Colorado that he had played in big crowds in Portugal.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying you don't want to play young guys. A certain young guy a few years ago scored a hat-trick in Seattle. And
was that again?
And he played well. So I don't buy that you want to play veterans against it. You play the best players. And
Russell
Jake
Tybert,
Nowitzki has played in big games already.
Yeah,
this year.
everyone's going to know I'm not a fan of Russell Tybert, but Tybert v Dempsey, he usually has Dempsey wrapped up and in his pocket. So I can kind of see why he put Tybert in for that one.
And if Fry doesn't make that big save off Montero, that could have been a totally different game at that point.
Well, I don't know.
But still,
I don't think
it might have rattled Seattle.
Oh.
And it might have just boosted Vancouver a little bit more.
To me, it starts with the lineup and the approach. And the Saturday lineup should have been reflective of, like Russell should have played in that game. Other guys should have, Shannon, whatever, who should have played in that game. So other guys could have played in against the better opponents in the two-way matches back to back. One of the things that I think is a little bit concerning about that game is it looks like Brian Schmetzer in his preparing for the game really got it spot on in terms of how you can pick apart the Whitecaps.
He's a geography teacher. He's going to do his homework.
Right. You get the ball wide or down low, wide and low, and you don't cross it in the air into the box. You lay it back on the ground to on-rushing midfielders or strikers or other wingers who have checked their run or whatever, because Kendall can't dominate the air. Timmy P can't dominate the air in the same way when you're doing that. And like it was at least two of their goals were like that.
Well, that brings us nicely then into looking at the Whitecaps' tactics, both how they play and against them. Because we've had a number of people ask this week. Julian Dirks was one of the guys. He wanted us to kind of break down tactically what the Whitecaps were trying to do on Wednesday. And it is hard to kind of know what they were trying to do on Wednesday. Obviously, the game plan for the Whitecaps all year long.
The modus operandi?
That's what I was trying to say. The modus operandi for the Whitecaps this year is to soak up as much pressure, hit on the counter, and see what happens. Against KC, we talked about the possession. They finished with 26.4% possession. There's been a number of games this year where they've got the wins with under 30%. They don't care if they possess the ball. It's what you do with it when you've got it. But we've talked what happens when you go up against a team that can take their chances or finds a way to do what you say, like not pump balls into the box, but play along the ground. And that's exactly what Seattle did. Is this going to be what opposition teams now do against the Whitecaps? They're going to think, right, Kendall Waston is a beast in the air. Anything that comes in he's going to deal with. Him and Timmy aren't great when people are running at them, when they've got the ball at their feet. Jake Nerwinski is inexperienced. You can run at him. Jordan Harvey is getting aged a little bit. You can run at him.
And Marcel is not primarily a left back if he's playing there.
And trying to go through the middle, if you've got Chani and Gazal in there, as long as Chani can stay on the pitch long enough, two sendings off against Seattle, back-to-back Cascadian derbies sent off, that has to be some kind of record there, I think. Can't think of anyone else that's been sent off.
Not in the MLS
back-to-back, yeah. So they know if they go through the middle, the Whitecaps are going to soak that up. So it is attacking them on the wings.
Yeah, and it's not just... It's attacking with numbers on the wings, right? Because Seattle used their fullbacks to full effect to create imbalances.
Which is what we usually do.
Yes, and part of that imbalance was created because I think on both sides, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but both sides, Bola and Abini probably didn't help out enough their fullbacks on either side of the pitch.
I agree. I don't think they tracked back as they normally did. I think they were left out a little bit. And like you said, the holding midfielders weren't up to snuff in this one too, because there's a lot of gaps in the midfield.
The way the Whitecaps are playing, have they found the secret to winning in MLS? Is this something that can take them, this lack of possession, is it something that they can take into the playoffs and actually be an effective playoff team?
Not at the Sporting Kansas City clip. If it's 60-40, I have no problem with that. But what was happening yesterday, they need to improve that. I would like them to show that they can hold on to possession when they have the lead. That's the important times to have possession once they have the lead, because you don't want to be giving the other team too many chances to get back in the game.
Well, that brings us to passing accuracy then last night. KC were 88% passing accuracy, 77% accurate in the final third. The Whitecaps were only 64% passing accuracy, and in the final third, when they did venture in there, 41%.
They were in the final third?
Yeah.
Okay.
41% was their passing accuracy. If you're going to give the ball away and you're a counter-attacking team, you're leaving yourself wide open to be punished.
No.
Amazingly, teams have not punished them so far. Once it gets into the cut and chase of the playoffs, you can't see that continuing.
No. Michael, it feels like they're playing football the way, maybe not your ideal, but they're playing to like a Michael McCall, like, I don't care how you win.
Yes.
Just win the bloody game.
That is how I approach football.
Yeah.
Now,
so you're happy with that. The problem is it doesn't help the football club as on a whole, right? It doesn't help It doesn't help grow the sport in the city. It doesn't help. Winning will help get people there, but not like when the football's not good, because you won't always win. So it doesn't keep people there in the long term, right? I know they're just coming off their season ticket drive, which they have a like 95+% renewal rate because they have an auto renewal system, and the people who work at the club should probably thank Josh Nanavati for setting that up. They were the second sports team in North America to do that, after I think like the Cleveland Cavaliers or some team in the States, and that has them at a crazy clip. And then their 12% drive this year was the most successful it's been in a number of years.
Do you not think, though, it's because Freddie Montero, number 12, got his 12th goal of the season?
In the 12th
yeah.
minute.
I think that was what it was. Now, we ran a poll tonight on Twitter. It's still going for a number of hours.
Lopsided poll, I'm assuming.
It's only been going for 3 hours, and we've had 145 votes. The question was, I saw a lot of interesting comments this weekend that people... They don't care that the Whitecaps won. They just don't like the way that the Whitecaps were playing. So basically what you were saying. Whereas I'm in the any means necessary category. So I asked, would you rather see Whitecaps attack, entertain, but maybe lose, or sit back, bore the hell out of you, but get a win? And 72%, I am glad to say, is going with sit back, bore, and win.
Yeah, but and I don't.
When I voted, it was 86%. So it was that high. Yeah.
That's these are valid. These are people's perspective. That they're all valid. The thing is,
they're valid when they agree with me.
That's not what I'm saying. You condone, I condemn, whatever.
We'll come to that later, I'm sure.
I think they play an exciting game at home. It's just the way and the thing is, everybody's watching on TV away, and that might not get people going to the stadium, like you said, for the next game. Because they see that, they can't correlate.
That's the thing. People are not. One of the biggest problems they've had, this is year 7 in the MLS, and people have not fallen in love with the football club. The people will come occasionally. They have these diehard people who've been following since the 70s or whatever. They have a small group of supporters who are passionate and always there. But the general, like, this is our club, this is our team, we love this no matter what, is not really growing. And it won't grow, and I don't think it'll grow with that kind of football. Even if they win an MLS Cup, the growth will be short term. Because it'll be hard to replicate that. Because it'll hard to replicate that, because they'll say, we got this way doing a certain thing, let's keep doing that thing. And that thing, we all would agree, is not going to help engage with more people.
Yeah.
I want to read a quote from Russell Beresford at Squad Player on Twitter. Now, this wasn't directed to us, but somebody retweeted it asking us to talk about it on the show tonight. Ronald Allen did that. So Russell tweeted out, Robbo is a dull coach, and his team reflects that. We have what we have. Now, Mark Weber replied, they played open in Seattle, and look what happened. If they had better players he could coach differently, that might be a different thing. But the general feeling is, Robbo wants to play this way. He's got the players that can play this way, so that is why we're successful. Do we have the players that can play an open, attacking, exciting game and defend and score and win?
They don't have a midfield. That's my biggest issue.
Yeah, we're missing a number 8, which could be Noza.
They need that connection between whoever's the holding and whoever's, obviously Reyna in this case. That's the player they're missing that can push the ball up and control it. Chani, for me, does not have the passing accuracy. He has moments where he has good passing, but not the consistency where you're not worried about him and he won't lose you the ball.
Here's the thing. It's parameters and fine lines, okay? Seriously, if people think it's, Robbo is doing this or that or whatever, he's living within the means that he's been given. That was part of the whole talk we had with him recently, right? He's doing the best he can with what he's been given. And so if people want expansive football with, more attacking, you can argue doing the best he can with what he's been given. That would be my perspective.
No, I agree with you.
He's not being given what some other teams in the league are being given.
Yeah, to use the old Scottish phrase, you can only piss with the cock you've got.
I've never heard that before, but it's interesting to hear you say that. But he, the only thing that'll happen here is you'll get diamonds in the rough, or these gems that whatever, or you'll get like a Jake Nowinski this year, who
or you'll get an Ali Gazal or Noza, where you pick up a talented player on a free transfer because
someone.
Yeah, you know someone, or the situation at the club they're in has let them become.
Same with the
free.
Colombian.
Yeah,
and the thing is the you were talking earlier that he's doing that's a sign of a good coach when you can adjust your tactics or the tactics for the club to the personnel you have instead of like fitting a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, and that's
what he has to do what he has to do.
That's what I was partly thought he would say, and I was trying to lead him into that question. And when we were talking to him, was like, "Hey, are you not just getting the best out? Are you not getting kind of are your players not collectively punching above their weight for what you can spend on them?" And he didn't want to say that. He was like, "Whoa,
yeah,"
kinda, because I think he was trying to protect them.
Yeah,
but
he always will.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But so I think collectively, in a sense, they are. And so for people who want better, you need to spend more. It's not not rocket science.
You need to renew those tickets.
I just want to go through some tweets here. Jay Humphreys at LW004 on Twitter.
What's up, John?
He'd rather that they entertain the idea of attacking football that can get wins.
So one thing about that I did want to say too is I think this is probably hard for Bobby Lenarduzzi to swallow. Because that has, in the past, like years and years ago, that had been one of the things he always tried to sell. He always tried to sell people, we are going to play attacking football back in the day. And he can't get out in front of a microphone and say that with any credibility in the MLS era. Or for most of it anyways.
Which I'm happy with. And Chris Corrigan, Salish C86, says he's there for the result. If he gets bored watching, he'll just make up funnier songs. Like that attitude. Jonathan at Border Caps fan, he wants to know, is Noza here to make an impact in the playoffs or more with an eye to 2018? Well, we have an option on him for 2018 and 19, and Robo wants to have a look at him, so it's not even a guarantee he's going to be here next season.
Yeah.
I think he will be a key piece if they can get him healthy. It would be great if he...
Is he injured?
He's not up to match fitness.
Fitness,
because he hasn't been playing.
Yeah.
If we can clinch, if we can clinch against Dead Bull, get the 3 points, get that top 2 finish. These last 2 games, we can kind of rest some players, get the likes of Noza up to match fitness. I'd like to see us do that. I don't care if we're first or second, to be totally honest, 'cause it's not going to get us much. Jonathan also wanted to know our thoughts on Danny Barbier and his shot at getting a contract next year. It's been hard to judge him so far from the couple of games he's played for WFC2 because the twos have been horrible in a couple of games.
And he hasn't played in the summer. Hasn't played in a while. I
mean, he's just getting back, so I think they will have a look at him.
Yeah, he could be a number 5 centre back if between him and Cole Seiler next year.
Hugh Belanius at High End Caps, he wants to know, when does the lineup get settled? He doesn't even know who the starting keeper is anymore. Now, Robbo did say after the Seattle game that a lot of the performances that night had made his mind up as to basically what was going to be in his settled lineup. So you have to think bye-bye Williams, as we talked about, and Tybert and stuff like that. I've expected a settled lineup for the run-in, but if we do clinch early, we might not see that settled lineup until the actual playoffs. So, I mean, that is going to be a tough one for him. Christina at Mudcree says, win or lose, the Whitecaps are boring. So that kind of ties in with what you're saying, Zach.
Well, I'm not saying I personally find them boring. I'm saying
No Good Boyle
perception.
Touched us on what we just talked about there. Is the Whitecaps bunker counter a viable strategy for the playoffs? They got away with one in KC, crossbars, Rubio, favourable calls, but that won't always be there to help them. And Joel Knutson says, in the words of Al Davis, just win, baby. So again, I am all for that. Last one, Johnny from Canada. He wants to know, are SKC the sorest losers in MLS? Their fans definitely made a good case for it over the weekend. I don't know, Seattle fans don't take losing very well. I don't know. So we'll see about that. But all this talk about playoffs has made me a little bit hungry. So we're going to play you a clip which we played last week, but as we mentioned, a few people haven't heard. So it's our fish and chips segment. It's back. We're speaking to Robert Earnshaw, and if you're going to go to Caerphilly, Robert Earnshaw has a few tips for you.
Fish and chips, chips and fish. My, oh my, what a wonderful dish. Put some salt and vinegar on, and your lips.
So you're out for some fish and chips. Do you have salt and vinegar, or salt and sauce of some kind?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this one, again, you cannot have fish and chips without salt and vinegar.
I
For
agree.
me.
My wife completely disagrees,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And tons of it.
Yeah.
Because, lots of salt, lots and lots, extra vinegar, extra salt, because you got to let that soak in, and we're British, so we know the little things that make the extra flavor. Extra salt, extra vinegar, and let it soak in a little bit, and it's still steaming and hot, and then you dive in, and you got to eat with your hands. You got to eat with your hands.
Totally.
It's pure, and it's funny. I was back in the UK a few weeks ago, and I was like, I gotta have some fish and chips. I've got to go. Every time I go back now, I go straight, because in my town, Caerphilly, we've got a couple of really traditional, great places that have fish and chips. Some of the best fish and chips in the whole UK are in my town of Caerphilly. So if you go to Caerphilly, I'll let you guys know that where that is. But it's amazing. So every time I go back now, I'm like, okay, fish and chips. Fish and chips by the castle, because we've got the big Caerphilly castle there. So fish and chips by the castle. So it's nice.
How much is the fish? How much is the fish? How much is the chips? Does the fish have chips? How much is the fish? How much is the chips? How much is the fish? Does the fish have chips?
Hey, I'm Brett Levis, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Now, the Whitecaps are in action this Saturday, travelling to New York for their third straight road trip on the bounce. And as we talked about, it's a game that if they can win there, then they've secured a top 2 finish in the West and a first round playoff bye. But it is one of a number of games that is getting played over this international break. Clubs do have a choice as to whether they play over this international window or not. Always baffles me that they do when you are going to lose some players. And the Whitecaps are losing some players, but maybe not as many as they could have, because there were rumours that Jordi Reyna was going to get called up by Peru. No Canadians called up either for their friendly that they have, which is good, because we are losing from the MLS squad 2 Costa Ricans, Kendall Waston.
Vamos los ticos.
Christian Bolaños.
Who wouldn't have been able to play.
Yeah, he was going to miss the game anyway.
He's going to miss 2 games now.
So, okay, quick question about that. Because MLS has some crazy rule, which I've never seen in Europe before, where if you're not there and able to play the game, it doesn't count as missing a match.
Yeah, he's going to miss the game after.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
It does kind of make sense to me, because he wasn't going to be able to play it anyway, so that makes sense to me.
The match is not on the same day, correct? The game is on the Saturday. It's not on the same day.
Yeah, they're playing on the Friday and the whatever.
Maybe they should recall him for the. They should recall him for the.
That's ridiculous.
And we're also losing Stefan Marinovic, and from the USL squad, not that it really matters, but we're going to lose Meyer Bevan and Deklan Wynne. But it's a great opportunity for all these guys to possibly be involved in the World Cup next year. And if you look at the World Cup 4 years ago, Stephen Bate, sure, he went off with Iran, didn't play, but it was great to have a player at the World Cup. Christian Bolaños, obviously with us now, he played at the World Cup and he's looking to go back again. But it would be fantastic. Costa Rica's all bar. They're guaranteed to be at least in the playoff. So you know that they're going to clinch the spot.
New Zealand's going to have a little tougher deal.
Yeah.
Only because Argentina's not doing so well at this point.
Yeah, so we'll come to New Zealand in a little bit. But Costa Rica, first of all, let's have a look at how CONCACAF is standing. Obviously, Canada's on the outside looking in, but you kind of expect that when you're in the hex.
Are they still looking in?
I would hope they're taking an interest. Mexico have clinched their spot. They're leading the hex, 18 points. Yeah. Costa Rica are second on 15. Panama's third on 10. US hovering on the brink in that playoff spot, fourth with 9 points. Honduras also on 9. with a goal difference of -7. So,
and there's only 2 games left, right?
Yeah, Honduras are away to Costa Rica and home to Mexico. So I think we can kiss goodbye to Honduras.
So Costa Rica basically just needs a point in order to clinch.
Did you just say you want to kiss Honduras?
Kiss goodbye to Honduras. So
that would involve kissing them.
Sadly, America's going to at least have a top 4 finish, bar Honduras pulling some remarkable result out either in Costa Rica or at home to Mexico. Mexico could want to screw over the US and just send a bunch of stiffs over there. That'd be hilarious.
That would be interesting.
I was asked when I was down in Seattle on Wednesday night by the Radio Cascadia folk, as an impartial outsider, what's your thoughts on America's plights just now?
And how truthful with them
I was
were you?
very truthful.
Okay.
Right away I was like, I find it absolutely hilarious. Which I don't think was the answer that they were expecting,
No.
but I do find it absolutely hilarious. Games this Friday and next Tuesday. Big game on Friday. 4th place US against 3rd place Panama. If Panama win that, the US are in a lot of trouble for trying to qualify. And you never know, Honduras could do something, or US could just lose so many goals that... Nah, that's not going to happen. But US, you have to feel, is at least going to be in the playoffs. And if they do finish 4th, they're going to play the 5th place team in the Asian, which is going to be the winner of the Syria and the Australia playoff. Australia's just got themselves into a right mess this year. Playing Syria, who you have to root for Syria. I mean, I want Syria to do that, but at the same time, you want America to have the tougher game, which would be Australia, if it is the US. So we'll see what happens there. But looking at Costa Rica have 2 games left. They can clinch their playoff on Friday. They're at home to Honduras. If something happens that they don't do that, then they're away to Panama, which would be a much trickier game. But you feel they're going to do it. Christian Bolaños looking to go to another World Cup. Kendall Waston looking to go to his first World Cup. Was in the preliminary squad in 2014, but was cut. Really wants to get back to this one. And I got a chance to speak to Kendall at training just about what it would mean to the country and to him to make it to Russia next year. So here's what he had to say. So Costa Rica, very close to clinching a place in the World Cup in Russia.
Yeah.
How are you feeling going into these last 2 games?
Very excited, and we're just waiting for that day to be an awesome day, because we want to qualify, especially playing at home. And obviously it's a dream that everybody wants to have, and we're going to work hard for it.
The game against America, that was a fantastic performance, both by you and by the team. What did you make of that match personally?
I think that game helped us a lot. That winning in the US, I think that gave us or opened us a lot of opportunity right now to qualify in a better spot. And now we just have to play that game against Honduras and see what happens.
What would it mean to you to go to Russia, play in your first World Cup?
A lot, because I think as a professional, everybody wants to play a World Cup, especially with your national team, obviously. But for me, it's going to be hopefully a dream come true, because last World Cup I missed it, so I doesn't want to miss this one.
Kendall Waston there, just talking about Costa Rica. He was outstanding in that game against the US. I mean,
he had a really him and Clint Dempsey, I remember having a go at.
Yeah.
Everyone here, I think, loved that.
Yeah, I mean, that was great. And Canada could still have a role to play in the CONCACAF qualifiers, if speculation is anything to go by.
I don't know if this has been, I don't know where I heard this, and I don't know if this has been...
If you're just making up yourself.
No, I heard it somewhere, and I don't know if it's been proved to be, false or just random speculation, but if Syria is the team in the playoff that the U.S. would have to play if they did come forth, Syria's obviously cannot play at home for obvious reasons. They've been playing, because they're in the Asian Confederation, they've been playing, I forget where. I want to say Malaysia or somewhere. So I don't know if it was Twitter or somewhere, or Facebook or one of these places.
And Twitter is always accurate.
Yeah, that's why I'm prefacing this by saying
neck and neck between Twitter and Wikipedia.
Yeah. I heard someone suggest that there might be a possibility that the home match for Syria against the U.S. could be played in Canada, which obviously would be very interesting.
Have it at BC Place? I would love that.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd choose BC Place, but...
Probably not. I would. Again, I am kind of biased. But, I mean, good luck to Syria. Good luck to Costa Rica, to Panama, to Mexico, to Honduras.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, yes, because the US, the big game is Panama on Friday, but if they screw that up, they have to go to Trinidad and Tobago, who's nothing to play for, but it is in Trinidad and Tobago.
I know there's some people have a perspective out there of why would Canadian supporters of teams that are part of this thing called MLS cheer against the United States?
Well, I'm not Canadian.
No, I know. But it's an obvious thing.
Based in Canada.
A lot of Canadians in sports just don't like America as a team, obviously. And so I think there's a lot of Canadians who would be happy to see them not progress.
Oh, they'll probably progress.
Which is natural. It's like our national derby, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, it does look like Kendall Waston and Christian Bolaños will be at the World Cup next year. Now, that means we'll lose Kendall for a big bulk, possibly 6 weeks of the summer, because they're going to have a pre-camp, they're going to have the time over there. Christian Bolaños, though, will he still be a Whitecap next season?
Yeah, and the other thing is there'll probably be some kind of break during that World Cup.
I would certainly hope so.
But maybe a month even.
If they do the Gold Cup, they better than
yeah.
Do you know?
Well, if America don't qualify, they're not going to care.
Oh, right. Do you know Bola's contract status? Is this the end of a?
He's going. He gave an interview with Costa Rican media this week where he said that he's got another 2-year option with the Whitecaps, but that he hasn't heard anything. They haven't had any more talks with him. Right now, you have to feel he's kind of a luxury player. I love Bola. I think he's one of the most skillful guys we've got in the team, but he is a bit of a luxury player. I don't know that they will bring him back, and if he is going to be missing for a big bulk of the summer, that could play into it as well.
But the marketing people would love it.
Yeah, I mean, having guys there. New Zealand, they do have a much tougher task if they are going to make it. And they've already qualified for their playoffs. Yeah. They beat the Solomon Islands 8-3.
Because people don't know, their Oceania Confederation only gets half a spot.
Yes.
So they have to play somebody else in order to qualify.
It's why Australia left the Oceania one to go into Asia. They wanted more of a challenge, which I think is just insanity.
And why New Zealand has made some World Cups.
Yeah, it's why I remember watching New Zealand in the 1982 World Cup. They played Scotland. They lost 5-2. Scotland gave a couple of goals away in a good Scottish way. So that was the first time we watched New Zealand in a World Cup. It's nice to see them again.
The first time I followed Canada in World Cup qualifying was ahead of 1994 when they lost to Australia in the playoff.
So New Zealand, Stefan Marinovic, all the other guys, they've got a really tough task ahead. We'll look at that after we hear from Stefan Marinovic. Got a chance to chat to him after he'd come back from the game against the Solomon Islands, which if you haven't seen the highlights for that, check it out. Some fantastic saves he had in the second leg. And what a stadium the Solomon Islands stadium was. It's all grassy banks and it was packed. It didn't look the safest, but it was absolutely packed. It was a great thing. So let's just hear what Stefan Marinovic had to say about that game and just what might lie ahead for New Zealand if they are to make it to Russia. So New Zealand, you know you're in the playoffs now for the road to Russia. The game against the Solomon Islands, or the two games a couple of weeks ago, how was that for you? You seem to have a pretty good game out there.
Yeah, whenever I play against, perceivably weaker teams, I have to concentrate because I know that some of the players maybe aren't going to concentrate, and that was the case. So a couple of times we turned off, and I had to come and do something to keep the score nice and comfortable for us. But yeah, I'm happy with the 8-3 aggregate. I went with a not full strength team to the second game, and we drew, which was a bit disappointing. We definitely wanted to win. But yeah, overall we're happy to be in the playoffs now.
So you're playing the 5th place team in CONMEBOL, which right now is Argentina. Do you watch those last 2 round of matches and hope that Argentina get the results and it's not them, or would you like that challenge?
If I wanted to be totally honest, I'd say definitely wouldn't. I would not like to get Argentina or Chile. Yeah. I think they are traditionally very, very strong teams, especially Chile. They're hard workers, and Argentina has those players that can decide the game. Messi and co that can decide a game by themselves. So we would be looking at, we'll be hoping for someone like Paraguay, or I think Peru might be in it as well. They could make it. So that's what we're hoping for.
How tough is it for New Zealand? Just you're not playing top teams. Like Australia left, obviously, Oceania to go and play it in Asia. Is it tough to keep focused for that long, knowing that it's really boils down to these last 2 games?
Yeah, I mean it's a long road. It's not exactly easy, going to those island teams. It would be similar here for those in Central America, going to Trinidad and Tobago and Honduras and well, not Honduras, but like those island teams.
That stadium in Solomon looks something else.
It's something else. So you go into a hostile environment. The pitch isn't great. The temperature, the climate is extremely difficult to play in, and the road is 2 years long. And you can't slip up. Especially we're not expecting to slip. We're not expected to slip up. And so the pressure for us to win every game is always there. I mean, the Nations Cup is our way to get into the Confederations Cup for really important games to get us prepared for exactly these, this playoff. And we just scraped through on penalties, right, in the final, which, in my opinion, shouldn't happen for us. I mean, we do have a very good, strong team. But yeah, that's the way it is. So, it leads up to these playoffs, and you have to perform in those two games. I mean, we have one warm-up game against Japan in October. Well, to prepare us for that challenge. But it's not optimal. It's not ideal. But it's very hard for a team on the other end of the world that's far away from most other soccer playing countries and have players that are based in Europe to then come together. Which is for New Zealand football very costly, not top priority for New Zealand for sports in New Zealand generally. So there's financial constraints, there's travel constraints. So we're really happy when we get the odd game here and there and have can play at that level, and which has done us wonders. For example, at the World Cup, where we were able to show that we could play in certain parts. Obviously, it hasn't been over 90 minutes yet. So we hope that it all comes together in November.
We certainly hope it does. Stefan Marinovic there. And it's a very tall order if New Zealand are going to make Russia. At least just now it looks like that. They are going to play whoever finishes 5th in CONMEBOL. And right now, Brazil have clinched a spot from South America. Mm-hmm. Uruguay are 2nd, 27 points.
And they're pretty safe there.
I would think so. Colombia's 3rd on 26. Peru are 4th on 24. Argentina are 5th on 24. Chile are 6th on 23.
Yeah.
And Paraguay and Ecuador's not out of it either with 21 and 20 points. The tiebreakers for all the qualifying, first of all, it's points. Then,
clearly.
Yeah, then it's goal difference and goals scored. So now...
Which is the typical way to do it.
Yeah.
And they don't change that often.
No, that's why Peru and Argentina are tied in 24 points. But their goal difference is both +1. Mm-hmm. But 26 goals scored by Peru to Argentina's 16. So that's what's got Peru ahead just now. And there's some massive games coming up. The biggest of them all, this Thursday. If you don't have beIN Sports, I recommend getting it just for this alone, or just find a stream somewhere. Argentina,
although we don't
Peru.
Condemn that. Oh, we don't condone that.
I condone everything.
It wasn't a free trial, but I think it ended yesterday.
On Shaw, it wasn't on TELUS, unfortunately, which I have.
Who would use TELUS?
Maybe it's going to be on TELUS now.
They're
be
rubbish.
Fantastic. TELUS is way better than Shaw.
I'm joking. I don't know. I'm just joking. Maybe they're fantastic. But yeah, Shaw had a free preview for beIN.
Well, this Thursday on beIN, Argentina, Peru. And it's in Argentina. Mm-hmm. If Peru can go there and get a point, that'll be fantastic. If they can get the win, it's like Pat Bear is going to just be getting drunk off his nuts.
Yeah.
And eating marmalade sandwiches. He's just going to have a...
It's marmalade beer, maybe.
Probably. But big games. And then on Tuesday, Argentina travel to Ecuador, who could still be in with a shout if they get something in Chile. So it's all to play for. But right now, it does look like it's going to be New Zealand against Argentina. And I don't think any of the Kiwis want that. Stefan didn't.
I don't think it'd be Argentina. I think more chance that it's going to be Chile.
Chile could miss out altogether, though. That's the thing.
World Cup qualifying needs some giant killing.
Yeah. And I know people will say, you want the big countries there, but no. I want all the top countries.
All the top countries will be there when there's 48.
Yeah, I'm not sure though about Scotland, but we'll come to Scotland.
I
in a
said
bit.
top teams.
Yeah, but I don't think any of the Kiwis do want Argentina. Stefan Marinovic didn't. Deklan Wynne didn't either, and I got a chance to speak to Declan as well, just about New Zealand's chances. So let's hear what he had to say. So the World Cup qualifiers going really well. You're obviously in the playoff game. The games against the Solomon Islands, it looked like it was always going to be a formality, but was it hard to kind of keep focused, just knowing that if you take your mind off it, they could possibly have a chance?
Yeah, I think that's what we all spoke about before the first game, and we knew the importance of the first game being in New Zealand and in our conditions, so we knew we had to try and seal it there, and we did with a 6-1 win, because we knew going to the Solomon Islands was going to be really difficult, and they had proved that with the 2-2 draws. So it was really hot over there and hard to play, but got the job done, so that's all that counts.
I asked Stefan this as well. It's such a long qualifying campaign, and it always looks like you guys are going to get through at the end of it. Yeah. How hard is it to keep focused though? Like, Australia obviously made the move, which to me seems baffling anyway, but how hard is it to focus knowing that it really boils down to the playoffs at the end of it?
Yeah, as you said, it's quite long, and people always expect New Zealand to make it, because we're always playing the smaller nations. So I think that's something that the coach says at the start of each game. Even though we're the favourites, still got to focus and get the job done, because we are playing there are some dangerous players. So I think that's always what he reinforces to us when we play those games.
In the playoffs right now, it looks like it's Argentina, but still a lot to happen in these last two games. Could be Chile, could be Peru, could be anyone really. When you're looking at it just now, does part of you want Argentina because you're matching up against some of the best in the world, or do you want to avoid them altogether to have a better chance of getting through?
Yeah, obviously unbelievable. Obviously everyone just thinks of Messi when they think of Argentina, so for New Zealand to be playing Ronaldo and then Messi in the same year is pretty unbelievable. But I think, yeah, we obviously want to avoid them, but either way, you play any South American team, obviously they're going to be really a really good team, and really a real difficult game for us. But I think probably Peru would probably be the best, I'd say.
That'd be fun for you to have with Jordy here, if it's Peru at least. Yeah. Last question. Obviously the Confederations Cup, you were over at it, you played the first two games. That experience for you, but also for the team, what does that do for you playing against those top nations, which you maybe don't get a chance to do all the time? Yeah,
obviously we don't get to play them often, so playing those games was real invaluable for New Zealand, and we just saw the level that we have to be at if we want to make the World Cup. Obviously, I think definitely the Portugal game, the 4-0, probably we didn't deserve that. I think we had a few good chances against Portugal, which shows that if we just put them away, we're right in those games, as well as in the Mexico game. We could have scored 2 or 3 goals in the first half, so we know we're capable of doing it. It's just really doing it and getting all these games in.
Deklan Wynne there talking about New Zealand and their chances. So good luck to New Zealand, good luck to Costa Rica. New Zealand won't know their fate. Well, they'll know their fate by next week, but they won't be playing their playoff game until November. Other teams that are going to know their fate as well, with a kind of Whitecaps bent. Let's look at Robbo's Wales quickly. They're sitting second in Group D, 1 point above the Republic of Ireland. Away to Georgia on Friday, and then the big game on Monday at home to Republic of Ireland.
So are they playing in Atlanta's new stadium? Is that where they're playing? They're playing Georgia?
Yes.
Yes. Gotcha.
Peaches everywhere.
Why are we talking about Wales?
Because I thought it was a tenuous link to...
You just want to talk about British
next
team,
20
blah,
minutes
blah,
about
blah, blah,
Scotland. Blah. Because Scotland...
Yeah, I knew you were doing that.
Group F, massive game on Thursday.
We should walk out?
F stands for fantastic. Yeah, we should.
Take your headphones off. I'll be a while. So on Thursday, Scotland are fourth at the moment in Group F. 14 points, equal with Slovenia, who are third, and 1 point behind Slovakia, who are second. Scotland play Slovakia on Thursday, then they play Slovenia on Sunday. 2 wins there, Scotland's into the playoffs. I might not then make next Sunday's show. I will just be lying in a gutter drunk somewhere celebrating. We still not made the World Cup, but we all have made the playoffs. I want to make next week's show though, because I've got a really good song about football violence that I want to play. And I feel if I'm not here, you guys might not play it.
We'll condone it. Or condemn it. Oh,
I knew you condoned it.
Condemn.
Hey, I bet you on Wednesday night you were all for a bit of football violence. I just pictured you ripping the seats out up there and throwing them on the pitch. I felt like doing that in the press box. I didn't think I'd get back in again.
I once had a seat from Stade Saputo.
I once had a seat from the old Bayview East Vice Ground, but I was allowed to take that.
Hashtag memories.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back with more memories after this.
Hi, I'm Carl Robinson. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
That's right, everyone. Curb your enthusiasm. We're back for part 4 of the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio.
And today was the premiere of the newest season after 6 years off.
The return.
They actually, the last season they did was to 2011.
Everything's coming back after being away for a while.
Yeah,
We've
your
got Will
show.
and Grace.
The playoffs.
What's your
playoffs? Yeah.
What's your show?
Twin Peaks.
That's the one.
Next, Mustafa Jarju.
Oh, I saw that picture
I don't think he's coming back
a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I don't think he's coming back to Canada.
He might. He loved it here, I heard.
No.
Maybe for the 20 seconds while he was getting off the plane.
No,
As soon as he got off the plane.
As he was getting off the plane, he realized. Yeah.
Starting to hear, bring back Mustafa Jarju.
Hashtag it.
Anyway, this is a wonderful time of year. Not just because the Whitecaps have clinched a playoff spot, but this is my favourite season. I love the fall.
Bricktober?
I love it when the leaves are brown, when you've got squirrels hiding their nuts, digging them back out again. I've been fascinated. I bought a little squirrel feeder for my garden. It's fascinating watching the squirrels. And I got a new bird feeder as well. I'm turning into a 60-year-old, I think.
Seems like it.
Wait, you're not 60?
Oh,
sorry.
No, but the fall, or autumn as we call it, is my favourite season. And I think everyone has a favourite season. Footballers obviously have their favourite seasons that they've played, and favourite seasons of the year as well. So this is our new segment leading up to this wonderfully. Jordan Harvey, who I like to be the first person on all these segments that I do because he's so much fun to talk to. So let's hear from him now, and let's find out what is Jordan Harvey's favourite season.
What's your favourite season?
You've had a long career so far. Long way to go yet.
I don't think it's going to get shorter. It can only get longer, right?
If you look back at all the seasons that you've played so far, what's been your favourite season?
I think for me, having had a long career, I look back at the successes throughout it and the winning. Right now, my focus is on winning a championship, and so when you look back on the years, it's the years that I've won, the most games or had the most success, which was probably I think 2015 maybe when we had the Amway Championship, and then we got into the playoffs where it wasn't like a first round knockout game. We had a bye, and when you're winning games, ultimately that's when you're the most happy. And that was probably the most successful season we've had here in the Whitecaps. And so I'd have to say that one.
You've been in the league now for 12 years. When you look back at what it was like when you first came into it to what it is now, how do you see it's changed?
The league or just this organization?
The league.
The league.
Everyone's like talking about MLS 3.0 just now.
Yeah.
I guess you were in 1.0, you've been through 2.0, and now you're in 3.0.
There were games that weren't as competitive, I think, back in the day. There's always been disparity, but I think what I'm trying to say is that the level has risen. There's so many more quality players in this league now that a roster is, it used to be maybe 11 deep, now it's 18. And I think that is a bigger question into, talking about the CONCACAF Champions League and trying to compete with Mexico. But I think ultimately the more money that the budget has accumulated, the more money we have in that, you're going to be able to spend more money. So I think, or get better players. And so I think that the quality has just gotten so much better since I came into the league in 2006.
What's your favourite season?
I mean, I don't know anybody that wouldn't say summer.
I hate the
heat. You hate the summer?
Hate the heat.
Well, coming from California, summertime makes me feel at home. And so this is maybe spring or fall in California. It's a little hotter in the summertime, but this just feels amazing. And I love, we live down at Sunset Beach, so I love going on the seawall and just being outside. My wife walks around downtown, and when it's raining, she's like covered with umbrellas with all this stuff, and she's just layers after layers, and so she enjoys this, and I do too.
What's your favorite season?
Now I'm pretty sure that summer's my favorite season.
You've said every other season. Do you understand the season?
Yes, I like the leaves of golden brown.
No, that's autumn, you're a clown.
I like the flowers when in bloom.
No, that's spring, you thick baboon.
Thick baboon?
That music can only mean one thing. It's time for BC Soccer Web Headlines, brought to you in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for local, national and international news and links.
Yeah, and this week we have quite a few topics to discuss. I'm going to go over a few of them, and you guys can chime in quickly over these ones. One article was from The Guardian, the unlikely rise and fall of the strangest village football club in Europe. It was basically a small club in Czech Republic. They basically, over 25 years, kind of rised. They were promoted 7 times, got to the top league in the Czech leagues, and then on their 70th anniversary, disappeared and basically were defunct. Roy of the Rovers, to be rebooted by Rebellion, a lot of R's there. It's a comic book that you read, Roy of the Rovers.
Roy of the Rovers.
Everyone's read.
Yeah, I have a Roy of the Rovers rap song for a future Wavelength.
So it's coming back. I should have told you that. It's coming back, so it's getting rebooted. Obviously, it'll probably talk about a lot of the modern football and all the things that go on there. Crowd count. MLS moves past record season average. So they're wild.
They're rewriting history.
Yeah. So basically, it's a minuscule upgrade, but
they're rewriting history from when Seattle was not in it.
FIFA to lift ban on poppies being displayed. They find in the past
about time.
They find teams in Scotland.
They can put so many things on those uniforms.
They find Scotland and England last year for wearing it when they played each other.
It's good that they took those fines.
And they claimed it was a political statement, which I don't understand at all. There's no political statement at all on poppies. It's to support the veterans.
Yeah, remembering those who...
And it's support them because the veterans actually make these, especially here in BC, they make the poppies themselves, and then they sell them, and that helps support them.
Plus it... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't start us on that, because that was ridiculous, and it should never have come to them having to make a decision that they're going to allow it. It should just have been allowed.
Yeah.
Just absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, a couple of stadium things. Louisville Stadium to anchor $200 million development. That's Louisville. I think they're kind of the lower team for Orlando or something still, or are they?
Is that not where the TFC reject kid, WFC2, that's where he was playing?
Yes, I can't remember his name.
Mark
Anthony K.
Mark Anthony K.
Yeah.
I think that's where he's playing.
Los Angeles FC has nearly filled the stadium before their debut. They're getting a lot of promises to purchase. I don't think this is official purchases or not. It was a very weird way they worded it.
Have you seen the stadium plan?
No, I haven't.
So this is what I heard. I haven't seen this anywhere, but I was talking to someone actually I was talking to Anando from PDX in Seattle on Wednesday, and he was saying something like half of the stadium, and not like one of the ends. Like I think it might be the half that's on TV, is going to be like, instead of like suites and stuff, is going to be like cabanas and like. You know where sometimes they put like VIP seating stuff? It's going to be like, there's going to be like more of that than normal, so that like, because they have like a million owners who are all like famous people.
Yes.
So them and or their friends can like pay crazy money and have.
I always find it hilarious when you see football stadiums in the States, or football matches played at stadiums in the States, not necessarily football stadiums, and there's just folks sitting on the sidelines right at pitch level, just eating a hot dog and. It's just ridiculous.
So this is going to be a different kind of ridiculous. So they're hoping actors or other athletes will have like.
Obviously, when the Caps play down there, I'll get us an AFTN cabana.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can borrow Steve Nash's because I'm sure he'll have one.
Oh, he'll definitely let us take part. So if you're listening, Steve, which obviously you will be, we'll book that now, and looking forward to it.
So next article, does Boney's £8 million case show it's time for regulators to stop agents from defrauding players? Essentially, the story here is agents, and it's been proven in the past that agents are receiving secret commissions.
What?
That the players
I do
don't
not believe that.
No,
That's You shut your face. That's shocking.
I will not shut my face.
Don't you point at me.
Bad-mouth agents.
They are the most reputable people.
No,
if you can't trust an agent, who can you trust?
No, but there are agents out there that get the commissions paid by the teams. There are agents out there that are getting secret commissions that the players don't even know about, and that's what the issue is.
So part of the problem was a number of years ago, FIFA tried to have some guidelines for agents, right? So there were official agents, and then there were people who weren't legit. But I think from what I understand, they've gone back on that because it was still a shambles.
You shut your face.
So
I'd love to be an agent.
Oh yeah, it would be interesting.
Football scout is my first choice.
Yeah.
And then agent second choice.
I know a guy you could talk to about that.
Oh, you were trying to make inroads with the mothers of the residency players.
I was, but that was a whole other thing.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
No, please.
I was trying to create my own future residency program.
So basically, next article is from the 11.ca. What is bio-branding, and can it help level the playing field for kids in soccer?
Yeah, what is bio-branding? Because I didn't get a chance to read this one.
Okay, it's basically, it's kind of being developed in Saskatoon at this point. What it is, it's getting... instead of setting players up with by age, they're actually by skill level and size and speed and like that.
I'm all for that.
So like a 6-year-old would be able to play with a 10-year-old if he was good enough to play, or a 7-year-old or something. I don't think there'll be like a math. We're gonna have to wait for Zach to finish.
I don't know why Zach finds funny.
I'm laughing because I can see you thinking about this, Michael, and you're like, I think I could dominate the people born in 68 who are my size and weight.
I'm just looking for 2 more years walking football. I'm going to dominate that. If my back gets better. Because right now I'm having trouble walking, never mind anything else.
It's all those stairs at the clink. Oh, you probably got the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the elevator too.
I went in the VIP entrance.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
Excellent. So, what do you guys think? Thoughts about that?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the guys who we've had on the show a lot, Slamo.
Yeah.
His kid, Dakota, he was so good at his age level that they ended up playing him in goal because he was showing up the other kids in his group. So it did nothing for him playing at his age level.
He needed to play with kids as skilled as him.
Yeah. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And if anything, because you've got someone like Alphonso Davies, who he came here and immediately he was moved up to the 18s because it was like, no, you're way too good to be playing at the 16s, and then right away up to USL, etc., etc.
Well, even when you watch that video of him playing for like his school or his club team, he was like, he dwarfed half those people.
Yeah. So the main topic this week is about the NASL. And you were on a conference call with them.
I was, and if you are a subscriber to AFTN's subscription podcast, there's still extra time. I brought you the conference call in full and a little bit of chat about this as well. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. $3 a month, $30 for the year. You get at least one podcast a month of at least half an hour. This one was 56 minutes.
Excellent.
I know what our listeners want, and it's 56 minutes on NASL's antitrust lawsuit.
That's value.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I'll read some of the headlines. There's about 3 of them. Differentiate or die. NASL must evolve dramatically if it survives its latest challenge. NASL makes it clear either it gets the injunction or else it doesn't continue. And then,
that was made very clear
and
by the fact that they asked 3 questions, one after the other, of the same point. What does this mean if it doesn't succeed? By the time the third one, Comicio was losing it.
Yeah. He outlines NASL's case against USSF. And I'm assuming he did that.
I think we talked about this last week, so we can talk about it again this week because no one heard that. But one of the things that needs to be discussed with this is if there's no true pyramid, what the heck? Why do they have to have designations of?
But that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
But he kind of answered it. It's all to do with if you are Division 2, you're classed as a serious league. Anything below
By who?
that.
By who?
By the USSF, the United States Soccer Federation.
But why do they care about
who cares about that?
Because if you're 3 or under, you're classed as developmental, which then affects sponsors wanting to be part of a proper league or a developmental league, TV, everything like that.
I don't know about this. I think you
get
sell
less
yourself.
money.
You can sell yourself to sponsors.
Well, that's exactly how I feel. It's the quality. And they kept talking about it's going to be the fans that decide what leagues survive. Never a great idea.
I think the NASL
when you're not pulling a lot of crowds in
yeah.
any level. But one of the big sticking points for NASL, and I'm totally with them on this, is the USSF are saying, no, you're not meeting the criteria for Division 2 status, which is a 5,000-seat stadium. You look at all the MLS 2 teams that are in USL, Whitecaps 2 being one of them, and they're not playing in a stadium that size. And most of these clubs aren't.
No.
And then even if they are, they're not filling them.
No.
There's no point having a big stadium
That's
if you're not going to
farcical,
fill
yeah.
it.
It's farcical. And this whole thing is infuriating, I think.
There's too much self-interest.
Totally.
It's a really interesting conference call. I really recommend that you subscribe to our podcast.
I'm looking forward to it. I saw it come in. I'm looking forward to listening to it. This is one of the problems with football in North America. It's one of the problems with football in Canada. I was recently talking to a group of, let's call them friends, and it said the same thing. For football to progress in Canada, you need all the stakeholders, all the potential stakeholders, to be able to say what is best and to lay down their personal agendas.
Yes,
and
which
lay down.
They are never going to do. Jason DeVos has been trying to get folk to do this for years before he was even officially involved in his capacity that he is now. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
I genuinely do not think it's going to happen.
Let's hope that changes.
Let's hope so indeed. But anyway, it's time for this week's Wavelength. And this was the song that we played on last week's missing episode. So since no one heard it, we're going to play it again.
Oh, great.
Because it was for our fall theme. We had Jordan Harvey talking about his favourite season. Mine was the fall. And I thought, let's bring back Wavelength. Let's bring the fall back to Wavelength with their song from 1983's Perverted by Language album. This is Kicker Conspiracy.
Kicker! Kid Conspiracy! Kicker! Kid Conspiracy! J-Hells! Panic Ring! Slickers! King of Team! Kicker! Kid Conspiracy! Kicker! Kid Conspiracy in the marble halls of the Charm School! Half Blair is punished! Under marble Miller Chip, the FA broods! On Half Blair can be punished! And then guest as a Euro state magnates, corporates, you elects. Kicker, Kid Conspiracy, Kicker, Kid Conspiracy, Kicker, Kid Conspiracy, Kicker, Kid Conspiracy, and the Booze Club, George Best does rule. Half Blair is punished. His downfall was up long ago. But that's none of your business. Kicker, Kid Conspiracy, Kicker, Kid Conspiracy, Kicker, Kid Conspiracy, Kicker, Kid Conspiracy, former fan, and a bus stop, stretched on the balls of his feet in the Christmas rush, had in his hands 2 lager cans, talked to himself at the back. At the top. Modifications on the club units. Plastic, slime, partitions, cocktail, zigzag, Tudor bar, Pat's
McCann. Pat McCann, the very famous sports reporter, is talking there. Fans! Remember, you are abroad. Remember, the police are wrong. Remember, the unemployed. Remember, my expense account. Hot dogs and seat for Mr. Hogg. Hot dogs and seat for Mr. Hogg. And his grotty spawn. Living brochures for ground units. How stale is punished. Kicker, kick conspiracy, kicker, kick conspiracy, kicker, kick conspiracy, kicker, kick conspiracy, kicker, kick conspiracy. Remember, Bill Commission the rot. Kicker, kick conspiracy, kicker, destroy the facilities, kicker, kick conspiracy, 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 kicker.
The fall there with Kicker Conspiracy. Let's talk a little bit, just to wrap the show up, about some local soccer. I was at a lot of VMSL games over the weekend. That was good fun. Check out our YouTube channel. And a sad tale on Saturday afternoon. Whilst I was at my VMSL game, WFC2 played their last ever USL match in Langley, losing to the worst team in USL, 1-0 defeat to Portland Timbers. Fantastic goalkeeping performance by Kendall McIntosh in goals for the Timbers. But yeah, man, it's been a tough season. 2 games to go. One at home at Thunderbird Stadium on Friday the 13th. Unlucky for some. Could be unlucky for WFC2 because it looks like that might be their last ever match. There's been some speculation about their future. There had been talks in the past off-season possibly moving the team to Calgary. Now, I will stress, this is not 100% confirmed yet. All the documentation hasn't been signed. The final decision hasn't definitely been made, but all signs are pointing to WFC2 winding up at the end of this year. There will not be a Whitecaps team in USL. Instead, they will have an affiliate with a US team who, I don't know who that's going to be yet. You have to feel, though, that it is going to be a West Coast team. Fresno coming in could be an opportunity. Reno, I wouldn't mind that because it would be a nice little trip down there, go to Lake Tahoe as well. Not sure they need our players, so they've had a really good debut season.
Mac Pridham's in there.
It's just sad that, I mean, from start to finish with this team, from the whole New West debacle to putting the team at UBC, fans not coming out to support it, bad first season, great second season, making the Western Conference Championship, and then regressing, because most of the attention this year, has to be said, was put on the MLS team. And there wasn't as many players gone down to play in USL because they were getting rotated in and out. There was all the injuries. So it meant WFC2 had a very young side out all year, and you're playing 5-6 teenagers in a game, and you're going up against guys in their late 20s and their 30s. Didier Drogba, Sean Wright-Phillips and things down in Phoenix when they're playing down there. So they've had a competitive season but haven't got the breaks, haven't got the victories, and they've struggled on the pitch and with attendances off it.
But the WFC2 is not about victories. It needs to be about player development. Can I ask you a question, Michael? Has anything been indicated to you to how shall I say, shape this potential announcement?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
Well, it's not confirmed. They're not going to announce it.
They are still looking at possibilities. Somebody could come along and say, look, we want to keep the team in the Lower Mainland. We feel that there should be a team here. We will buy the team. That's part of the reason. You find that far-fetched, do you? That's one of the reasons I wanted to mention it on the show tonight, actually, was just, I don't feel... I've known about this for a couple of weeks, and I've alluded to it, hinted at it, but I haven't come out and said it. And I just feel now is a good time to do it, because there's one game left at Thunderbird on the 13th, and if it is going to be their final game, I would really like them to get a good crowd for that, and to come out and to pack into the stadium and just to say goodbye to the team. Put them in the Canadian Premier League.
Yeah, no, that's not an option.
Why not?
Because the Canadian Premier League has said that multiple times.
So you're saying to me, if the Whitecaps went to the Canadian Premier League and said, we'd like to put a team in, they're going to say no?
Yes.
Why would they say no if they're trying to do things for the good of Canadian soccer?
Because this is not for the good of Canadian soccer. This is good for the good of Vancouver Whitecaps FC.
Who will be developing players who will then go and play for Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
Have they shown that?
There hasn't been any good enough players.
So that's the excuse. After 10 years,
What Canadian
10
players
years of residency.
right now, what Whitecaps residency players, current or recent, deserve to be in the Whitecaps MLS team right now?
Are you talking about starting 11?
Starting 11.
Oh. Yeah, that's partly my point, Michael.
Yeah.
Is they haven't done a good enough job at developing players.
Again?
But they got to continue it.
Is it that they haven't done a good enough job, or have the players just simply not been good enough?
I think we've seen
put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig.
No, I think there's a little bit of
pretty pig,
a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It's not all simply just one thing.
No,
you can't say it's only the players,
and you don't,
because there've been high level players here that have won national the awards for National Player of the Year at different age level. It's the getting them into
in Canada.
Yes, in Canada. It's been getting them. We've talked about this in the past. It's the gap between when you're 18 to making the first team.
Yeah. So and now one of the things that helps bridge that gap is not going to be here.
Exactly.
And that's
but why is it not going to be here? And obviously, this is maybe premature to have this conversation, so I don't want to say things. But they're
we'll go into more details if and when it's officially announced. You have to feel money does play a part in it, because it's going to be a loss-making
you think?
opportunity.
You think?
TSS Rovers have lost a lot of money this year as well. It needs folk to come out and support these teams. If you want to have these teams here,
but when you do such a
Canadian Premier League in the Fraser Valley,
but when you do such a poor job at running it, does it deserve the support?
That's a whole other thing, which I will go into in a lot of detail, because I do agree with you there. I do feel there's been a lot of mismanagement with the team. The managing director, Lisa Morikamori, left in the summer, and she wasn't replaced. So right away, you kind of knew the writing was on the wall there. The under-18s still don't have a full-time head coach. Niall Thompson at the moment is the assistant head coach. As soon as I saw that, I started thinking to myself, you know what? Rich Fagan is probably going to go back to his old under-18 role.
Or move on somewhere else.
That just makes sense to me that they're keeping that open in case WFC2 is no longer here.
For me, the turning point was essentially when they got denied the New West Stadium.
Yeah.
And so...
it was a losing battle after that.
Yeah, after
UBC
that. And then they couldn't commit to either... they were splitting games in Langley and UBC when they should have committed
They've drawn
to one.
well in Langley.
But not because...
Not well enough.
Not well
737 yesterday.
But the thing is, they weren't committed one way or the other to that team. Like they should have continued the commitment to Langley if that's where they wanted to play, instead of splitting the seasons up. Because if you go to a game in June and then you don't have to go to another game in August, that's not really following the team. You're just basically find out, the game's on. Some people probably don't even realize the game coming up or whatever.
It's also not a great stadium because it's in the middle of nowhere. If you don't drive, then you're not getting there.
The New West thing, Steve, there's multiple layers as to why it didn't happen. But there are some...
I'm not saying that whose fault it was. I'm just saying that was, for me, a turning point of that this team might not succeed going forward.
But the Whitecaps as let's call them in this case an organization, have to own that. You have to be able to get things done even when they're difficult.
Yeah.
And
well, the New West, honestly, the New West City Council or whatever made the decision, they're not easy to deal with, and they've shown that in past dealings too. Not with sports, with other organizations and other things.
Totally,
they don't like their city being invaded by other people.
No, but here's the thing. I agree. The political side, and I've heard local people have told me different things about the political side of things, but the Whitecaps did not do enough on the financial side to make the political issue less of an issue.
A lot more to talk about in this subject, and we will talk a lot more about it when things are official. Just to stress again, it is not 100% signed, sealed and delivered, but all things right now are pointing to Friday the 13th of October being the final ever WFC2 game.
Which is a very sad and negative thing for football in this community.
Especially for me, because I'm going to miss most of it because I'm commentating on UBC that night. But I will be there for the last half hour with my bugle playing. And just before we go, I'm just going to read some final tweets that we've had. El Canico, he wants to know, is it really too much to ask for entertaining wins? It's not a novel concept. Look at TFC, Atlanta, Chicago, Seattle. Why can't we aspire to be the same?
Dollar sign symbol.
I am saying I would like wins any means necessary. Of course, I would love to have entertaining games as well and win it entertaining. I just don't think we have the players here right now to possibly do that. It might take a complete change of mindset and formation by Robbo to have a more attacking thing. But will the defence be good enough to keep the goals out? Who knows? Generic Spencer wants to know, is there a chance that we can get AFTN sticker books and packs? I would like that. I really can picture people sitting in their bedrooms and their dorm rooms, sticking photographs of Steve and Zach and myself into their stickers.
We could just use the shirt pictures that we've had.
Well, we are going to be doing a bikini shoot. Anna Namsharin
No.
gave us the idea for that with her bikini shots from holiday. And it gave me the idea that we should all do that. So we'll maybe head to Wreck Beach one day, and maybe when it's a bit warmer, because otherwise that might not be the best photo session. And we'll get that. That will be in our AFTN sticker album. So I'm sure everyone will look forward to that. And let's be honest, the quality is going to be better than the Whitecap sticker album. People might want some blank stickers, though, in the AFTN bikini shot. We'll see. We could do a charity calendar as well. Kind of like the... You know how the Women's Institute did that nude one for charity? We could do that. I think we have 12 writers now, so we could possibly do that. No takers? I'll be in all 12 pictures, I don't mind.
No, a couple guys can share months if we have more than 12 too.
Me and Predictapooch. Just a couple more tweets here. Whitecap Scarf says we should appeal Bolaños' red card. It's going to be interesting to see if we do.
Isn't there a thing where if you appeal it and they feel they can actually add games to it?
Yeah, they've
you pay money and stuff.
They threaten you with a big stick, yeah.
Couple more tweets here. Whitecap Scarf, he agrees with you. Seattle was embarrassing. Robbo got it wrong. The Caps should have apologised to the fans for that stinker. He also doesn't think that Williams will be back next year, but he's been saying that for weeks. Also wants to know why Mon didn't start or play this week. That was a surprise. I thought they would have rested Timmy Parker in KC, but they didn't, because Mond and Waston had an understanding from playing before, so I thought that would maybe have worked.
For 2018, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Earlier you mentioned Kendall hopefully being away for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Hopefully for him, obviously, being away for the World Cup.
We'll have return of David Edgar.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Will Mond and or Edgar both be around, partly because of that?
I think they probably will be. Now, I really like this tweet from Spiceboy1. Does anyone recall if the Caps were exciting in 2006, or do they only remember that they won the championship?
I don't remember if they were exciting. Do you?
They weren't, because that was
a double. That was a double.
That was 2008.
2008 was the double. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Was it not
that was
Lily
Tater.
Ball in
that was Tater.
2006?
2006. Yes. No.
Yeah.
Bob Lilly was the head coach, and Bob loved to talk. So if you wanted to talk to Bob about football, he would talk to you for as long as you had.
And just the last tweet here. This warms the cockles of my heart. It's from No Good Boyle. I think he might be taking the piss, but let's just hope that he isn't. He says he's taking a break from cramming for his big basket weaving midterm tomorrow to listen to our show tonight in his UBC dorm room.
He is not telling the truth.
He is.
No, he's not.
I like to picture him or her.
It's a him, but no, he's not.
Maybe he comes on the weekends and spends it like Sunday nights in the dorm room and you don't know about it, Zach.
And on that note, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
I'm at Zachary AM on Twitter, and I'm part of the movement Curva Collective.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada, on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. Check our stuff out away from the numbers, aftn.ca. So until next week, take care and mon the Caps.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.